What is your name?
Thomas D. Russell Jr.
And where were you born, Tim?
When I was born?
Where were you born?
In Atlanta.
Atlanta, Georgia?
October the 22nd, 1923.
Okay. And you served, what war did you serve in, or what?
World War II.
World War II.
Yeah.
Okay. And what was your highest rank, Tom?
Highest rank was T5.
T5?
Technician 5.
Technician 5, okay.
Right.
And, well, today is the 25th of February, 2009, I'm sorry. And we're located at the Southfield Public Library. And you're being interviewed for the Library of Congress Veterans recording operation. It's been going on now for quite some time. And you're one of the ones that will have your information in the Library of Congress. My name is Felix Selden. I'm a Southfield Veterans Commissioner. This is Daniel Brightwell. Daniel is the president of the Southfield Veterans Commission. And we have Ethel Grossman, who is a Southfield Veterans Commissioner. And Tom Warkus is he's the cameraman, and he is a Southfield Veterans Commissioner also. And of course, we will be conducting this interview to find out as much information about you and the other veterans as possible for the Library of Congress, okay? So you say you were born in Atlanta, Georgia? Okay.
October 22nd, 1923.
1923,
right.
Okay. And did you spend most of your childhood in Atlanta?
Most of my childhood was spent in Atlanta.
In Atlanta, okay. You went to this, what level of schooling did you have in Atlanta?
I went to graduated from Booker Washington High.
Booker T. Washington High School?
Yeah.
Okay.
Booker T. Washington.
And did you go on to the university at the time, or?
Yes, I did. About 6 months at Clark University in Atlanta before I came to Detroit.
Before you came to Detroit. And then what did you do after you arrived in Detroit?
Well, my parents came to Detroit. We migrated here to Detroit, and I came to Detroit as a young man. And I got in the Army from here.
How long were you in Detroit before you went to the Army? How long were you in Detroit before you went into the Army?
See, I came in Detroit in fall of the year, around December, and went in the Army in June the next year.
June the next year.
I guess about 6 months.
Okay. Did you work where you were before going into the service? Did you have a job before you went into service?
Yeah, I did a little job I was a porter down to the bus station during that time for about 2 or 3 months.
Okay.
As a young man.
What kind of work did your father do while he was in Detroit?
My father was in Detroit. He worked in a warehouse for John Deere Ply Company. In Atlanta, you mean?
Here in Detroit.
Oh, in Detroit, he worked at U.S. Rubber.
At U.S. Rubber?
Yeah.
Did he retire from U.S. Rubber?
Yeah, he retired from U.S. Rubber.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. And how about your mother?
My mother was a housewife. She never worked.
Okay. Now, when you went into service, you decided to go into service. Were you drafted or did you volunteer?
I was drafted.
You were drafted?
Right.
Okay. And what year was this?
In 43.
1943.
Yeah.
The war was well underway.
Yeah, well underway, right.
Okay, okay. And where did you enter the Army?
I went to the Army. I had to go back to Fort Benning, Georgia, because I never changed my registration from Atlanta to Detroit, because I was on the office for 6 months. So I had to go back. So I was inducted. I had to go back to Atlanta to be inducted into the Army.
Okay.
I went in Fort Benning, Georgia, and then I went from Fort Benning to Fort Bragg, North Carolina, and they put me in artillery.
How did you travel from by
train.
By train?
Yeah.
To Fort Benning?
Yeah, from Fort Benning to Fort Bragg, North Carolina.
Fort Bragg, North Carolina.
Yeah.
Okay. And once you got to Fort Bragg, what did you do?
Well, I got to Fort Bragg. That's where I took my basic. I took my basic in Fort Bragg, and I was put into the artillery. Tell
us a little bit about your training there at Fort Bragg.
Well, I was trained as a gunner in artillery. 105s. We had the 105s and 155s, but I was a gunner on the 105.
Okay.
In artillery.
And that was an all-black outfit?
Yeah, all-black outfit. The Army was not integrated during that time. During that time, we was segregated Army. It wasn't integrated. Mm-hmm. It was back in It was back in '43, before we was integrated.
I understand you were and also worked with horses at one time.
Yeah. So what happened is they opened up a cadre. Cadre is when they form a new outfit in Texas. So they had to have some experienced people that was in artillery. So they broke up the artillery unit and they sent me to Fort Clark, Texas, because I had been in the artillery. The cavalry have 75 millimeters. So they had to have someone that was familiar with the artillery. So I was fortunate enough to go to Fort Clark, Texas.
How did you like Fort Benning when you were there at Fort Benning? What did
Fort Benning to Fort Bragg.
How long were you there at Fort Benning?
How long was I in Fort Benning?
Yeah.
3 or 4 days, a month, something like this. Just introduction. That's just introduction.
And what about Fort Bragg? How long were you at Fort Bragg?
Oh, I was in Fort Bragg for about 90 days.
Oh, 90 days.
Yeah, I did
you
my basic.
You got your basic in Fort Bragg?
Fort Bragg, yeah. About 90 days or maybe 120 days.
Did you spend a lot of time out in the field?
Yeah.
Artillery.
All the basic things. You did that calisthenics, you did the fundamentals of the army, you had to learn all the field fortification, all that. And then we spent lots of time on the artillery pieces. We had to maintain the pieces, had to learn how to take them apart, had to do all of that. Because those are the things that you have to know in the artillery. You not only use the piece, you had to know how to assemble the piece, how to clean it, how to take it apart. And that's what our basic training was.
So you were actually, you didn't do infantry basic training, you
No
did artillery basic.
No infantry training.
Oh, and you got your MOS right there.
Yeah, I got all my everything right there. Because we went on field trips, we did the basic things, but no infantry training. We did the basic calisthenic, field marches and things like that is required when you're in the army. You had to have the basics. But my specialty was artillery. So we spent half of the day field fortification and so forth, marching and drilling and so forth. And then the next half of the day we would build artillery pieces.
Okay, it was a combination.
Yeah.
Oh, basic.
Yeah.
And you received your MOS right there at Fort Bragg.
Yeah, right.
Got your MOS. Okay.
Right.
So once you got on orders to go to Fort Clark, you say? You got on orders to go to Fort Clark, Texas?
Yes.
How did you go from Fort Benning to from Fort Bragg to Fort
We went by train. We was on the train 3 days. 3 days. We was on the troop train coming from Fort Bragg, North Carolina, came down through Texas. I guess we stayed in Texas 3 days, just in Texas. And you know how those troop trains are slow. So we was on the train for 3 days.
How did you sleep? Did you sleep in the?
Well, we had a sleeper.
You had sleepers.
You had the sleeper. Had the bunks. A regular sleeper, you know.
And they fed you, of course.
And it was tough. It was torture.
Was it really?
Yeah, it was really torture, you know.
Were you trained air conditioned or not air conditioned?
No, train was not air conditioned. And I don't know how to put this, but it was a real bad situation because we had to go down through Texas, and 90% of the time we had to keep the shades down because the army wasn't during that time. So what we had to do, we had to go on the troop train. We went through Texas, down through Arkansas and over to Texas. We had to keep the windows, keep the shades down.
Why did you keep the shades down?